I've been playing Forsaken ever since release, and there have been quite a few things that I have noticed with the game which have been present up until now, which is quite surprising to me. This can range from literally anything, like cosmetics, general gameplay, and even the community to an extent, but have never been able to speak my mind about since, simply put, I haven't really had the place to do it. So, I'm not going to waste any more time and just start with my first complaint, which is the lack of encouragement to learn the game to its fullest. While Forsaken may not be the most skill expressive game out there, to say it doesn't have depth would be a lie. Besides from certain characters, a large majority of the roster in this game has serious depth to them, which I feel like is never truly encouraged to be explored by the player. You could argue levels are supposed to make the players learn the character, but those just encourage you to gen hog the whole match, as completing puzzles makes you yield so many rewards. It's disappointing really, with Forsaken having one of the most in-depth stamina mechanics I've seen be put to waste, since players are never truly encouraged to actually use it to its full potential. Instead, we're testing the skill of who can do the generators the fastest. Nice. So, I think things such as pro servers could help circumvent this, which, for some reason, they haven't added yet. Tell me why the Forsaken developers have told us twice now that they'd add pro servers, just to not do it at all and proceed to add VC servers I didn't see anybody asking about. I'm not trying to hate on VC servers, but that over pro servers is genuinely criminal. Hell, you could even add a ranked game mode, but the developers might think that would make the game too competitive, and with how toxic the community currently is, I can somewhat see why they wouldn't want to add it. However, just anything which encourages more skill expression would be a great addition and keep people playing, as they would be able to put themselves in more advanced environments if they wanted more of a challenge from the average public server, or simply wanted to improve. There is generally no harm in this addition, so I don't see why it shouldn't be in the game. Next, I somehow mentioned this in my previous point, but the distribution of rewards in this game while on a round, primarily XP, is just so poorly designed. I don't know why the Forsaken developers never bothered to change generators, when I feel like a lot of people are complaining about how they're the primary way of getting XP to get your levels in your character. You could literally be chased for 3 entire minutes and get little to no rewards, while the noob in the corner of the map gets 75 XP and 2 malice for doing 1 generator. How is this fair? You literally get punished in reward sense for playing better than your teammates, as the more you interact with the killer, the less overall rewards you earn because you aren't doing generators. Now, this is a pretty simple fix of just changing how rewards are distributed. Make it so hitting abilities gives more XP, make winning give more XP, make being chased and how long you were chased for exponential to the amount of rewards you get. For being in said chase, could be an accumulative thing at the end of the round, or how DBD does it with escaping chases and such, to make it so interacting with the killer is just generally more encouraged. This is also another nitpick of mine, but I seriously hate how you're put into a dilemma where the actually fun part of the game, interacting with the killer, feels suboptimal because generators just yield more rewards. I can't tell if I'm alone on this or not, but I seriously don't want to be doing generators. I'm playing Forsaken to play Forsaken, not flow free. But again, this can be easily fixed by just changing how rewards are distributed, which shouldn't be hard with some testing. This also indirectly fixes another issue of how sometimes people don't want to support you at all in the round, as they feel more inclined to do generators, as it is what gets them more XP and malice. Maybe public server teammates could actually be good, I don't know. In addition, another issue I have with Forsaken is how handholdy the game's balance feels, specifically to the survivors. I'm sorry, but with the amount of resources survivors have available to them, it can be quite hard to lose a survivor if both sides are of equal skill levels. I've already talked about balancing a lot on this channel, but other things such as items simply don't need to exist at all. Why is there just an item which heals 80 health with no downside other than being inactive for roughly 10 seconds? It doesn't really feel like you are getting punished for any mistakes as long as survivors are competent, which is just very bothersome to me. To put this all into perspective, I think Elliot is a great example of how hand-holding this game can be. His kit, for such an extremely powerful survivor, is some of the most bare bones and simple to use kit I've seen in a while. His pizza throw is honestly very forgiving. Unless the Elliot literally throws the pizza into a dead end, the fact that it stays on the ground for so long means it always gets guaranteed value. The killer either always has to respect the pizza if it falls on the ground, or just have to suck it up if they heal, since you can't really do much about it. They tried to implement it to where the healing regen cancels if you're hit during the heal, but this is almost negligible with how fast it heals and how you can just heal after they're outside of danger. Almost nothing changed how pizza originally worked without the regen, which just continued to make Elliot a lot more simple and brain dead in my opinion. Then, you have Rush Hour, which is simply just a free chase reset. Again, a move which, no matter how you use it, literally gains value no matter what. While Elliot is a bit more of an anecdotal example, other survivors like Taff, Buildman, and I'd even argue that Dusaka and Guess 137 to an extent are just very surface level. With Dusaka, all you really need to do is hit the survivor with beam and they are guaranteed to get value from it because of the speed and overhealth gained. And Guess 137 has a charge which has almost no counterplay and a block which just has innate pressure which is hard to play around. It feels as if the characters a lot of the time are just really watered down and powerful, which not only makes them more infuriating to go against, but also just hurts the game's balancing as a whole. As of current, I believe it's a little bit too easy for a lot of survivors to reach their maximum potential with just a basic understanding of how they work. So, this could be fixed by increasing the punishment of each of these abilities, or just making them need to be used more methodically to get the same value out of them currently. Simply put, just make some characters more skill expressive for the love of God. Lastly, something in which I believe would improve the game a lot is just generally faster updates. More specifically, updates which just add more content to the game, like new maps or characters. However, something I want to preface before I get into the real meat and potatoes of this point is that I don't think updates are on that bad of a pace currently. It does give the characters a lot of time to settle in and receive changes before the next one is released, allowing the developers to have more control over the environment of the game. However, I do believe updates could be ever so slightly faster. The updates we get in between major ones aren't really enough to justify the wait in my opinion, and so if we just got a bit more in between the time it took to create these updates, then the game would just feel a lot more fresh than how it currently is. Now, I don't want them to just start adding characters with almost no hype around them. They somewhat did this with Nosferatu, and to be fair, while that was the whole shtick, applying that to other killers most likely won't work. Again, the developers will probably have a bit more time in between updates to build up hype anyway. So, as long as they execute it properly, I think it could benefit the game a lot. I also mentioned this in a previous video of mine, but the Forsaken developers do have quite the roster to work on before they can have creative freedom with their characters. So, a slightly faster update speed will allow the issue I brought up in that video, which you should definitely watch after this one, be more swiftly fixed too. But, I think that's about everything I really have to say about the personal issues I have with this game. I mean, there is definitely quite a bit more, but these are the issues which resonate with me the most, and if these got fixed, the game as a whole would significantly improve. As always, if you enjoyed, consider supporting the channel by liking, subscribing, and so on. Don't feel inclined to, of course, since you watching up until this point already does enough for my channel, but it'd be greatly appreciated. Alright, see ya.